Um,
Yeah.
we have sworn affidavits from Canadian Armed Forces athletes who were there. From the weird setup at the games to the plane ride home with sick athletes to having them return to bases ill and spread the virus. Complete bungling by CAF. This is based on the headline here from the Bureau. Exclusive. CSIS told us we were infected at Wuhan games, soldier says, but Ottawa kept it quiet. CAF member has come forward with explosive testimony that Canadian intelligence agents assessed soldiers were infected with COVID-19 at the 2019 Wuhan Games, but the findings were buried in Ottawa. The veteran and military community are watching. Streamline the process. Don't add bureaucracy to a broken system. Why does any veteran have to fight for hearing loss, ruined backs, knees, and ankles? Some things are a given. I'm just going to scroll down here because there's some really good, interesting comments here on her post. A flawed system continues to claim lives. Our government, rather than providing the support our heroes rightfully deserve, has punished them toward death. In your darkest moments when hope feels out of reach, you should be able to trust those you turn for help. Given this is from Viva's brother, this is Lion Advocacy. He was on that video as well. Given the known risks of the jab, including risk of death, acknowledged by the court in the Dan Hartman case, estate trustees and or military police with independent counsel should be granted access to the medical records of deceased soldiers from 2020 to present. This is absolutely criminal coming from our government. This is from Sundance Construction, who was in the military here. She says, they forced every single member to get vaccinated through this and not through operational needs. It was a test of leadership. Members like myself who refused to be subjected to potential injury left via voluntary release or 5F. There were so many of my friends that stayed in and were injured. These guys were in peak performance. They are doing everything they can to avoid being medically released so they have some protection. That's interesting, eh? All of the injuries I saw were heart related. But this is a pattern in our military. We just have to look at have you heard of this? Mefloquine, the unsafe anti-malarial drug that was misdiagnosed as PTSD. Massive adverse reactions that peaked in Somalia. The list of adverse effects on these men are heartbreaking. We don't deserve the men and women who still choose to serve.
I have not heard of that.
What's that?
I have not heard of that before.
Push this out, share it far and wide. The U.S. are making amends, yet Canadian Forces is hiding their wrongdoing and pretending like it never happened, or the extent of the harms aren't worth acknowledging. They coerced members into the COVID jabs, destroying lives in the process. So I'm going to go to this is the Bureau one here. This is this little infographic here. It's just weird how he's getting involved in so much now, right? I mean, they're talking about the headlines that I've already read here, but in here it's got a little infographic that says 2011 to 2015. They were collecting bat viruses. 2015 to 2017, they began experimenting with pathogens like SARS and MERS over there. And then they swabbed these proteins 2015, 2017, and 2018, 2019. Scientists at Wuhan lab created a new virus called bat-CoV-X using a secret bat virus genome as the base. And then that's event 201, I guess. That's probably what they're talking about there, right? 201 to, maybe not. Maybe that's supposed to be 201, 20 something to 2019, but that's blacked out. Oh, that's interesting. 201. I wonder if that's why it was named 201.
Yeah, it's weird. I wonder why those are blacked out.
Ottawa, Canada. I was in Wuhan in the fall of 2019 at the World Military Games. A significant number of the team and I myself contracted COVID and became very, very ill. Crazy, eh? Do you have it there?
I do, yeah. With that statement delivered in confidential testimony to the Bureau, a Canadian Armed Forces member added his voice to one of the most powerful emerging revelations in the global search for the origins of COVID-19. His account closely matches the U.S. Department of Defense's newly declassified conclusion that 7 American soldiers fell ill with COVID-like symptoms during the same October 2019 military competition in Wuhan, China.
Remember we were talking about all that back then, and it's all big conspiracy theory, right? Oh, we're like, what are the chances there was a international military game thing competition in Wuhan, right then?
Yeah, so this is also interesting here. Um, what makes the
Mm.
Defense Intelligence Agency's timeline bombshell especially troubling for Canada is how closely it aligns with the Bureau's earlier reporting that Dr. Yango Zhu, Dr. Kui, was the now expelled head of special pathogens at Canada's National Microbiology Laboratory in Winnipeg. This is the one that Trudeau called an election to shut down the subcommittee. Canadian intelligence documents reviewed by the Bureau confirmed that Q had an active working relationship with Dr. Shi Zhengli, the Wuhan lab, the People's Liberation Army, beginning in 2017. Together, they co led research on Ebola and synthetic bat
Oh
coronaviruses,
my god.
projects funded by the Chinese Academy of Sciences and supported by CanSino's Biologics, a state owned company tied to China's military.
Oh my god, dude.
Yeah, in a previous interview with the Bureau, Dr. David Asher said he could not reveal the classified intelligence his team reviewed. However, he made clear that his State Department investigators were deeply concerned that Beijing was using the Winnipeg lab for military intelligence gathering and bioweapons research.
I mean, obviously Trump and his whole team know this too. I mean, if the Bureau is writing about it, I mean, this is another interesting, spin on the whole thing, right? Of why we're such a risk to them.
Although there's no evidence that Dr. Q transferred any bat coronavirus samples or physical materials related to the WIV bat project, the newly released U.S. intelligence raises the possibility that her intellectual contributions from Canada may have been more central than previously realized. At minimum, Canadian documents confirm that Q was operating inside one of the world's most advanced virology labs while simultaneously collaborating with the same Wuhan scientists now identified in the U.S. report as architects of a chimeric virus bank. Canadian documents also confirm that Wuhan scientists aggressively pressured Winnipeg researchers to share samples with the Wuhan Institute of Virology, and that Chinese military agents repeatedly breached security protocols at the Winnipeg lab, roaming unchecked through restricted areas and clandestinely transported biological materials in and out while working with Dr. Q and her husband. In detail, what the CSIS intelligence records show is that Dr. Q, a senior scientist at Canada's National Microbiology Laboratory, began building formal ties with the Wuhan Institute and the Chinese Academy of Sciences in the years leading up to the pandemic. She applied to join the 1,000 Talents Plan in 2017, a covert Chinese government program designed to recruit foreign experts. CSIS determined that the Wuhan Institute co-sponsored her application and that Q began receiving undisclosed funding through the Chinese bank account to work closely with Dr. Sheng Zhangli, Chinese top bat virus expert. In June 2018, Dr. Ku applied for a high-end research project through the Chinese Academy of Sciences, an institution CSIS describes as working closely with the People's Liberation Army on dual-use biotechnology. Between 2018 and 19, Dr. Q co-led 2 classified research streams with Dr. Shi at the Wuhan lab. One focused on gain-of-function experiments with Ebola, aimed at studying how the virus could be made more contagious, and the second on synthetic bat. Ooh, that's kind of scary. On synthetic bat coronavirus construction, building lab-made viruses.
Synthetic Batman. I mean, that's what. Remember what was the term I always used? It felt synthetic.
For the Canadian soldier who came forward, at a minimum, Canadians should know more about China's suspected role in the creation of the bat coronavirus and cover up, and whether Canadian scientific capacity played a direct or indirect role. I have no special insights as to links with the Winnipeg lab, CCP, MSS infiltration there, or how this tied to COVID-19, the Canadian soldier said. That said, considering the vast, deep, and broad collusion between Canadian officials and organs of the PRC, nothing should be dismissed.
Oh wow, that was great. I'm glad they went into depth about